You know, the Tea Party was born out of this realization that we have a fiscal crisis on our hands. We understand that things have to be done. And look, it's not just the Tea Party. Within the churches, if you notice, they're talking about discipleship. The business community wants to have moral, ethical leadership. There is a sense of a need to unite the clans because we're in an hour of crisis. To quote a line from Braveheart, men don't follow titles, they follow courage. And so the Tea Party movement is made up of men and women of courage, folks like the people in this room. Strauss and Howe went on to say this: "Let us hope that the old boomers will look within themselves and find something richer than apocalypse. Because, you know, this conversation can go wrong. We can make the wrong choice." That would be the other party, by the way. "If they see and assert themselves as beacons of civilization, younger Americans may well look up to them as GIs did to the great missionary leaders, as elders wise beyond the comprehension of youth. If the great champions among them can seize this historic opportunity, they can guide a unified national community through the gates of history to a better world beyond." When Sue and I talked about my speaking here this evening, I knew what I was going to talk about. And then, of course, over the weekend, no matter what you think about Mitt Romney, I think he made the absolute best choice for vice president that he could make. Because he understands that the safest place to be is in the eye of the storm. And so, you know, there's a movie, Clear and Present Danger. The tagline is, "Truth needs a warrior." It's not Jack Ryan, it's Paul Ryan.
Uh-huh.
And so that's the sort of thing that has come about that brings this whole issue now into clear, undeniable focus. Two phrases from two different movies that I'd like to share with before I close. As Dwight mentioned, I teach economics. And as bad as I know the situation is, I realize that I don't really fully comprehend the enormity of the situation. I really don't. And let me tell you, nobody who is in economics today really knows what the heck is going on. I teach from a textbook that I tell my students is broken. It is absolutely broken in terms of the theories that we teach. Friends, I remind myself that the hour is dark and that the situation is grim. And yet at the same time, I think of a scene from the movie Star Trek Generations. This is the one where Captain Picard meets up with James T. Kirk. See, Kirk is in this place called the Nexus. It is a place where there's no sort of dangerous situation going on, but Picard needs Kirk to come back and help defeat a bad guy named Soren on Viridian 3. The Nexus is a place where no time passes whatsoever, you never age, there is no danger, you live in peace and quiet, and you do absolutely nothing that has any consequence or meaning at all. And so at one scene in the movie, Kirk turns to Picard and he realizes that nothing really matters here. And so Kirk says to him, "Getting close to retirement, I suppose." Picard says, "Yes, I don't want to." Kirk says, "Don't. Don't let them promote you. Don't retire, because as long as you're in that chair, you're doing something. You're making a difference." On Viridian 3, I take it that the situation is grim and it's a terrible type of situation. You know, if Spock were here, he'd tell me that I was an irrational, illogical human being for wanting to go on a mission like that. Mm-hmm. And then he turns to Picard and he says, "Sounds like fun." As I said, the safest place is in the eye of the storm. In that scene, Kirk teaches us to not look at the future with gloom and doom. Smile. Things may be worse than we realize, but God is better than we know. Amen?
Amen.
Amen. The second movie is a movie called Kingdom of Heaven. It is the battle for Jerusalem that's being fought between the Christians and the Muslims, but inside the Christian camp there is a battle of ideals and whose path we will follow in terms of which way we will fight the war. There's a young man by the name of Balaam who is the last knight left standing to defend Jerusalem. The archbishop says, how can we defend the city without knights? And so Balaam calls all the men-at-arms to kneel. And then he knights them, and he recites the knight's oath, which is, be without fear in the face of your enemies. Safeguard the helpless, never lie, even if it means your death. This is your oath. And then he tells them to rise a knight. Rise a knight. And because they have been challenged to become something greater than themselves, they are able to rise to the occasion and to defend the city with honor. We face adversity. We face peril. But it is our hour. It is the hour of the great champion. So I say to you, rise a knight and become the great champion of your community, of Hamilton County, of North Central Indiana. It will call for sacrifice. It will call for all of us to pledge our lives, our fortunes, perhaps our lives, but certainly we will have a lot of work that we will have to do. We do not know the outcome, but we need men and women of courage, men and women who will think like Jesus, lead like Moses, and have the courage to lead us into the promised land. Thanks so much.